Have you ever noticed how Wayung and Liquidator Brunt are not in the same room together? Think about it, won't you?
Have you heard about that Ketracel White? It turns the frogs gay. That's why I've been drinking it all day. I long to be a gay frog.
What's your favourite website? Reddit. Space. The final frontier. These are the voyages of the starship Adequate. Our ongoing mission until we are replaced by something far superior by those scummy government superiors. To review every episode and movie of Star Trek in existence. To seek out new guests who are not then sequestered by the men in black and make them very uncomfortable. To boldly go where apparently many other Star Trek-based YouTube shows have gone before. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Treks and Trekkers, except for the country of Australia, which doesn't exist. Welcome to a live episode of Trekking Up North. I am your host, as ever, Captain Goodwill, and joining me is... He says
Naomi Wildman is a Vulcan spy.
He says he's...
7 of 9's a man.
7 of 9 was the first wireless charger. Joining me as ever is the Geesian from the apparent planet
Honk. If it's real. Am I
don't
real?
think it's real.
Are you real? What is real? We all live in a simulation.
Geese are surveillance devices. It's Science Officer
Synoiz!
Synoiz!
Real!
We'll get to that shortly. Birds are real. I love the fact Beth is just going, what is going on? Yes.
It's just like, they're making some good points.
Yeah. I would like to subscribe to their newsletter. Welcome, Science Officer.
And Nova's like, well, JFK was an inside job. And you're like, no, what?
No, it wasn't an inside. It was well publicized.
I love the idea of like Nova just being a massive conspiracy theorist, but being a tiny dog at the same time. Why is your martini blue?
It's Romulan ale, dear boy.
Well.
Anyway,
someone's gone a bit crazy. Anyway.
How is your tinfoil turban? Some may say it's cultural appropriation. I say rocket girl.
I just want to say to everyone, just to break all illusion, Goodwill used an actual wiki guide to make his tinfoil hat. I literally, 2 minutes before we went live, just grabbed some tinfoil, wrapped it around my head, and just pinched it at the top. So, who's the real winner here, Goodwill?
All while defaming Mahatma Gandhi all the way through the process.
He loved war.
He was a douche. I remember him sucking on pork hot dogs going, I knew Mother Teresa, she was a prick. So, we are here.
Well, it's been said on the internet, so it must be real.
Said Abraham Lincoln. We are here to review yet another Star Trek Voyager episode. We are delving deep into the Delta Quadrant to review the Voyager Conspiracy. Oh no, that's the Twilight Zone, another show.
I love that this episode has to be called the Voyager Conspiracy because there was already an episode of Trek called Conspiracy. And then the writers were like, oh, piss. Okay, well, it's the Voyager Conspiracy.
They could have done Butt Bugs Part 2, but they chose not to. They just chose someone reading misinformation from the internet and coming up to a wild conclusion.
Does that ever happen? Do you think that could be a real thing that actually happens, Goodwill?
Oh, guys, we got tangents tonight. Get comfortable, okay? Get comfortable. I really can't hear anything in this hat. I think the 5G's been blocked.
Have you got Bluetooth turned on?
I've got brown tooth.
Oh, right. That's a dental issue, darling. But and also be prepared for probably a massive rant about Naomi Wildman, because for some reason a small child makes me irrationally angry whenever we watch a Voyager episode of Naomi Wildman in.
However, However, before we delve into tonight's episode, first and foremost, I would like to recognise anyone in the chat who are clearly fake and made up by AI. Hello to Christopher Reed. Hello to Beth, who is clearly
The alleged Beth. Who knows who that really is?
Oh no! My headset's died! They're after me! Damn you, Tories!
That's it. His headset's died. Right, okay.
We're back. Hello
Oh,
to
right.
Beth, who is not Beth, it is clearly a pigeon. Hello to Sarah. We've got Dave Hoppy Hope or Hope Hoppy.
Horpy.
Hoppy.
Hoppy.
Dave
I
Hoppy.
think that's an anagram. It's meant to be Whippio. Yippo.
Yippo.
Yeah. Which is obviously some kind of government agency that's trying to inject like nutrients into our like toes.
Yes.
To make toes bigger, to make shoes bigger, to make it so we sell new shoes all the time because our toes keep getting bigger. And it's just capitalism taking over the world and taking away our freedoms.
Have you noticed how Clarks are very quiet about this? We're through the looking glass, people. Hello to Nerdy.
Clarks have never said anything on the subject of the enlarging toes conspiracy, which is truth in it, evidence in itself.
You know what they say about people with big toes, don't you, Synoiz?
Wankers.
Yeah. Hello to... It's going to be one of those episodes tonight, guys. Yes, so
I'm
hello
dripping it down my head because I'm wearing tinfoil. I'm literally sitting in the sun, cooking while we're doing this episode.
That's right. At the end of this Farah podcast, we will have basted Synoiz. His juices will be rich. It's that episode of Simpsons, isn't it? With
I can smell sound.
we need Kent Brockman outside with a thermal imager. We can only assume this is Synoiz basting in his own juices at 400 degrees.
People who are watching on Spotify, listening on Spotify, you're missing out on all of the nonsense. We are both wearing tinfoil hats.
Allow me to do
that
some
is the gag.
ASMR. There you go. Hello to everyone in the live chat. As I said, hello to everyone watching this on record. Hello to everyone watching this on Spotify or wherever you get your audio-based podcasts. If you downloaded this podcast illegally, I will find you and peg you. Now, the greetings have got out of the way. It is time for a little bit of a promotion, Science Officer Synoiz, because...
What are we doing?
Well, we've got an incoming transmission.
Incoming transmission.
Oh, good Lord, it is that
Oh, that
weekend. Yes, it is that weekend. We will be in Blackpool on Sunday, the 28th of July, 2024, at approximately...
Whenever they've decided to shove us on.
Hang on.
It was gonna
12:10 p.m. on...
Right.
Hang on, no, 12:15, no, 12:10 p.m. on Sunday, the 28th of July, on the main stage at Destination, the unofficial Star Trek convention, live at Nobrick Castle in Blackpool. Do you remember Blackpool?
Oh, I love Blackpool. I
love
loved it. It was
Blackpool.
like, oh, I hope the lights are on and all that, but it might be too early, right?
Right, might be too early. I don't know. Why
well,
we're
what
talking
we'll
like
do
we're
is-
from Hull?
How about we get some LED bulbs and we'll just plug them in and it'll be like illumination.
Hello to Joe from Captain's Quadrant. He's going Blackpool. Yes, no,
Blackpool.
they were going to call it Whitepool, but there was a bit of controversy. So we are live.
We're never going to get through this bloody episode. Okay, hold on.
No,
We'll
because
move
the
on.
government,
We're gonna
the
be a
government will
Destination
shut us
Trek.
down.
We'll keep saying that YouTube will stop the stream. But yeah, we will be at Destination Trek on this Sunday at 12:10 p.m. until they move us again. So please come along. We are doing... It's quite hilarious because we're actually on at the same time as another panel doing a discussion on the same subject, which is a bit weird because we're basically... Well, their one is talking about the mental health among... Their one is talking about mental health among the fan community, and ours is about mental health among Star Trek and the characters. So it's quite an interesting little dichotomy there, I think.
Come and join ours. It'll be more hilarious. We have more conspiracies to share. So that is the 28th of July at 12:10 p.m. at Norbreck Castle in Blackpool. If you're in the north of England and you've got nothing to do, head down to the promenade or wherever it is. Head down to Norbreck Castle and come and say hello. And you may get a sticker. Ooh. Yeah.
Okay.
It is now also time for a new feature on Trekkin Up North. Memes of the week, yes. It is time for memes of the week, yes. What?
That new feature that we did last week.
At episode 69. Episode 69, and no one capitalised on the fact it was episode 69, except me and Science Officer Synoiz, because we talked about the red handkerchiefs last
Oh,
week.
yes, we did.
Oh, yes, we did.
I have a feeling that, like, as predicted, that's going to play a strong part in the memes for this.
Do you think it's going to play a strong? Why don't we go?
Fisting references are not going to be ignored by our lovely community.
Why don't we go to Holodeck 2 to have a look? Is your turban okay?
I'm just trying to make it into like a cockerel type thing. Just carry on.
Oh, he's got a faux hawk.
Yeah. Look at my little faux hawk. There we go.
Oh no, he's Guy Fieri. Okay, let's have a look at the memes of the week. Oh my god.
Today, teapots are good. Yeah, another running gag. Like you can't exist without teapots, really, when you think about it.
Really, I've got to say to Chris, you need to up your medication, bro, because you have been on one this week when it came to the means. And first and foremost, donating teapots to Goodwill. Please, do not donate teapots to Goodwill anymore. I'm sick of teapots. No, don't. Ease down, Palpatine. Do it.
Do it.
Yes. Okay, yes.
Do it now! Oh.
Synoiz.
Yes, here we go. This is what we expected.
I'll tell you what, I'll do me, you do you. Are you ready? Synoiz, my friend, are you all right? Here, let me help you to your feet.
I fisted hard, Goodwill, but I could not fist them all. I just love that my eyes are sort of like looking off like bashfully. They're just like, you know, maybe the voice, because they've got me as Velvet here, it should be like, I fisted hard, Goodwill, but I could not fist them all. we expected this. There we go. Choke me ghost
harder.
daddy.
Choke me, ghost daddy.
The fact that isn't a doctored image, that literally is an image that appears in the episode, and they were like, that's fine. That's good. No one's gonna misinterpret that at any point.
What's Beverly Crusher's safe word? Is it Yankee?
I think it's more by the look of it. But...
Okay.
Why would I be holding you back? Like I don't get this one. So it's but for the audio listeners, are we putting this on the audio podcast and confusing the hell out of people?
Yes, we are. So this one is literally a meme of Synoiz and myself being absolutely terrified of a screenshot of Code of Honor, which I'd be absolutely petrified. Synoiz would probably be throwing me into the
Yeah, I would be pushing. I'd be like, come on, let's do this.
In you go. Oh. Why didn't you get into drugs and fondling pigeons like all the other red car boys, my mother asks. I stare silent as my bookcase is full of Star Trek ships, Star Trek models, and really ugly teapots.
As in the Cheers' teapot.
Oh god, I hate that teapot so much. However, someone did raise a valid point the other day. What if the bear is called Cheer and the teapot is theirs? So therefore the teapot is Cheers's.
It could be. That is actually what we'll do is we'll speak to Kelly and we'll see, does that actually sate her rage?
Should we update the
Because as an English teacher, she got irrationally angry at the concept.
She didn't get irrationally angry. She
did.
She got dangerously violent, and to the point where restraining orders are now in place. Okay, so the next one, 7 Astrometrics. researching conspiracies only to find a man in front of a van said, "Birds aren't real. Research bird surveillance." It's literally
We're
highlighting...
taking the piss, but he actually has that van. That is a real thing.
The question you have to wonder is, Synoiz, where's Beth?
Where is Beth?
Think about it. The ultimate pigeon. Speed dating, TNG style. Beverly Crusher looking at a wall of candles.
What is it with these memes managing to find the perfect emotes from Beverly Crusher? Like just the looks on these pictures, because there's one of them that I asked you to put in. I don't know if it's in there, but I literally was just like, I love this choice of face that they've done for Beverly. It's so good. But this is an amazing meme. Who's this? Is this Chris? Or...
I will go through. Yeah, I will go through. I'll go back.
Yeah.
Trekking up north. All Trek is good Trek. Me liking what I like. And the mighty titan of trekking up north, defending the person liking what they like from toxic fans and actually people. I like that. This is very humble. I like this one.
This isn't true. This isn't what it's like. We're like, oh, you like Discovery? In the bin. Go on, and then we grab the small child into the wood chipper, and that's the way it goes.
Why isn't Discovery in the wheels, Synoiz?
Discovery's not real.
Is it the fact that
if you think you've watched Discovery, it's Mandela effect. Never happened.
Is it because we don't have Paramount Plus?
I've got to be actually I've got to use my Paramount Plus now because bloody bloody Netflix has just ended my contract. Like when I go to it, it just goes like, "Oh, you need to sign up for membership," and I'm like, "But I have one." And I message them, and they're like, "Oh, we'll get back to you," and you're like, "Thanks for that." You know?
So
the live chat guy was just like, "So yeah, for some reason my Netflix has been cancelled by someone."
Synoiz is the only person ever to be banned from Netflix. Come underneath the blanket, the fella says. I've got something to show you. They both lift under the blanket, and there's a screenshot of the double wheel of episodes.
Yes, it's us doing the double wheel. I love this.
Shall we say double at the top of our lungs?
Okay.
Shall we?
1,
3, 2, 3. Double!
Yep. Here's another fisting one. It's Kirk doing his double-handed fist maneuver. Oh god, into an Andorian?
An Andorian's anus.
And the Andorian has 2 red handkerchiefs in the pockets. 2 red handkerchiefs. Guess you want the double fist. Well, actually, educational. A dark red hanky is double fisting. Not 2 handkerchiefs. What that means, if he's got 2 red handkerchiefs in each in both pockets, that means he can either give or receive. Gay education.
And finally, Jean-Luc. It is a picture of Picard and Q. Q is looking at Picard lovingly and going, "Jean-Luc, I see you have a red handkerchief in your back pocket." To the title of Star Trek Fist Contact.
Fist contact. You just know that Amazon put the movie on the wrong, like with the wrong spelling on it, and then suddenly everyone was like, "Well, I'm very disappointed by this."
Right now, in some sordid basement in Los Angeles, there is a adult gentleman's entertainment producer looking at Trekking Up North and going, "I can make this."
Yeah, that's it. I can fist contact.
It can be done. So I would like to thank. So this one was Lee. This one was Chris.
Yeah.
This one was Chris. 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 This one was Lee.
Okay.
I can see the avenue that Lee sort of went down, and it was a narrow one, but if you relax, you may enjoy it. And the song ends.
So what we're saying is, out of all the memes we received, the top list is all 2 people. That is... Shouldn't we actually have rules in place for that? You know, where it's like going to be a fair thing. To be fair, though, those were absolutely brilliant. Well done, Chris and Lee. Thank you.
I did say that the deadline was 12
I'm just
p.m.
going red. I'm going red because I'm
I-
actually cooking. Can I?
No.
Let's get into the episode, then I can take my hat off.
Okay, so the episode was season 6, episode 9 of Star Trek Voyager. The Voyager Conspiracy. Stop dripping.
I'm literally dripping, man.
The brief synopsis of this is: Seven investigates a massive conspiracy involving the Federation, the Cardassians, the Caretaker, and numerous other alien races, which indicates that Voyager was deliberately stranded in the Delta Quadrant. Ooh. This, for me, was an interesting episode. And a very timely episode for us to review in the age of misinformation and a certain election coming up in those United States of America. And yeah, we will probably go on tangents about this.
Probably, yeah.
So hunker down, everybody. So basically, let's get into why you don't like Naomi Wildman first and foremost.
I think I don't like Naomi Wildman because I don't quite get why she's there. Like this first scene that we get in the episode. Okay, we basically see Naomi in her. No, we basically seven of nine in her. What is it, like a hangar bay or something?
It's the cargo bit.
Yeah, in the cargo bay where she basically keeps her alcove for regeneration. At this point, she doesn't need to regenerate normally anymore. She can just kind of sleep, but she's kept the alcove around for posterity. And then what she's doing in this is she's basically re-engineering it so that she can use it for another purpose. But in this scene, like I've questioned some of the Voyager writing, and I think this is a really good episode, but we see the clearest point of Naomi Wildman here, which is that she's just there to get exposition out of people. She's never actually to do anything. She's never actually adding anything to the story. She's literally just there to go, what are you doing? Oh, I'm working on this thing. Oh, that's really interesting. How does that work? Oh, it works like this. And yeah, and it feels a bit weird that most of her episodes are that effectively.
Also as well, this is the world's oldest, like 4-5-year-old. Because she is born on Voyager. Yeah. This is season 6, and she is matured very rapidly on this ship.
We can assume it's her species or whatnot. I can't remember what her species is, but it's not like she's half human, isn't she?
She is half human and half Caterian. Her official bio is human Caterian hybrid.
But I think my biggest problem with Naomi Wildman is that they basically introduced her when they already had too many characters, and there's too many bits where it goes, oh, we've got to fit Naomi Wildman in, and it's just, no, you don't. But I do quite like her usage in this episode because she doesn't really do much. But the first shot that we see of the episode is Naomi Wildman standing in Seven's alcove, like her Borg alcove, pretending to be a Borg regenerating.
Yeah.
And it kind of puts across the fact of, like, a lot of people criticize Voyager for this, where it's basically de-teethed the Borg. Like, where it's basically, in TNG and DS9, the Borg were the ultimate threat. Everyone was absolutely terrified of them. And then by a certain point of Voyager, we're like, oh, it's the Borg. Oh, we can just defeat them. Oh, they're nothing, and the whole point of the Borg is going, yes, you defeated them that one time, but now they've learned from it, and now you won't defeat them again. And yet Voyager goes, nope, they've stayed the same, and we've beaten them the same way twice. And you're like, okay, that feels a bit convoluted, a bit odd. But I think it's the idea of, I quite like, though, that the kids on Voyager kind of admire the Borg because they see Seven as the Borg. It's almost like the episode of, which we're going to talk about on Sunday probably, the episode of TNG where the little orphan kid idolizes Data because they don't feel they're so efficient, they're sort of like so pretty and that kind of thing. And it's this idea of, that's what Naomi Wildman is kind of doing in this. Yeah.
Before I say my piece, Get yours off.
What have you? Can you feel the frogs getting gayer?
Yeah. Ooh, read it.
Oh, I'm moist, Goodwill. I'm fully cooked.
For all its strengths, Star Trek Voyager did one thing that then
Neelix.
ruined the Borg up until Picard. And that is they desensitized people to the Borg. Because Janeway was just this one-woman army. She beat the Borg multiple times. And what we see with Naomi Wildman is very aptly put by you, where they don't fear the Borg because they relate the Borg to Seven of Nine. They are not afraid. Now...
And it does. I can't remember, but I'm sure it comes around in an episode where they have it, where they actually encounter the Borg, and the kids aren't afraid because half of them previously were Borg.
Yeah.
But then, like, it's the idea of going, no, you should be really afraid, but because they're Voyager Borg, you shouldn't be, because it's like, oh, they didn't. Oh, there's a new gun that kills them.
It's sort of, yeah. And when you think about, like, when this is set. You sort of, there's a correlation between this and season 3 of Picard, where these are the kids born and they are raised, and they see the Borg as Janeway beat them, and then the Borg sort of disappeared after Janeway blew up the transwarp hub, and the Borg become this like, not boogeyman, not to be afraid of, just like, yeah, they were just like cybernetic beings that were, hell-bent on perfection and wanted to assimilate other people. But we beat them. We beat them.
Yeah.
When it's sort of like how you compare generations, how they look at the Second World War, where they're just like, it was the Axis forces, and then these ideas keep creeping in. We see it now with the terrorist organization that I won't mention from the early 2000s, where people are going, well, maybe they had a point, maybe this. And it's just like, no, they were psychopathic murderers, hell-bent on a quest to absolutely destroy Western civilization. You can't humanize that. And you see this.
Can we talk about their bad points first?
They had Chakotay's 7 of 9 fan fiction. But we see where the future generation, not all the time, but certain future generations humanize this enemy that was feared and that everyone was terrified about. And then something happens, and then, as we see at the moment, where certain trends and themes from that era start to come around, because people go, well, maybe they had the right idea. Maybe they just went about it wrong. And you're thinking, no, you idiots.
This is the whole thing. It's the fact of, as the further you get away from something, the less that you can see the faults with it.
Yes.
It's the same as the Nazis and whatnot, where it's the fact of, like, loads of people going, oh, maybe Germany did have the right idea all those years ago, and oh, maybe they weren't so bad, and maybe they were really efficient and stuff. And like when you look at what these TV channels, like the History Channel, where they just go, oh, German technology was years beyond everything. You're like, but they lost. So
yeah. And when you think of the Borg, where you had this generation that weren't really affected, they were not around with, they weren't old enough or weren't around for Wolf 359, the Battle of Sector 001 from First Contact, all these issues with Janeway and stuff like that. And then you see how, as a generation in season 3 of Picard, they become so desensitized and so, like, they let their guard down, where, like, the Borg threat is not real, don't worry about it, and then let's just network all of our ships, and let's just do this, and let's just do that. And then the Borg are just like, yep, we're in your transporters now, and we are also taking over your youth, because it's easy to do.
And I kind of like this, that it's basically like, because the issue with Voyager is it de-teefs the Borg,
Yeah.
And by the end, you're like, how were they beaten so easily? As
Yeah.
in, what the hell? They should have adapted. So it should have been all the tricks that Janeway uses to beat the Borg the first couple of times should
Yeah.
never apply again. They
Agreed.
should immediately go, cool, we have found a way to beat species 8472. All of that is sorted. And then they just don't. They just kind of remain stagnant with only minor changes, which isn't the Borg that we're used to. But then Picard kind of hints at it was a long game, where the
Yeah.
Borg basically went, we want people to get confident around us, and we're going to fucking, put a plan in motion to absolutely destroy everyone.
So maybe there was a conspiracy afoot between Seven of Nine and the Borg Collective. She allowed herself to be reclaimed by Voyager. She allowed herself to regain her humanity, to grow and not grow, to climb.
Why
the
are you
ranks
using
of
a sexy
Starfleet.
voice for this?
Because I'm sexy. To grow and to grow, to climb the ranks of Starfleet, to gain command of a Federation flagship, and then, when the time is right, unleash the Borg.
I thought you were going to say a country album, but I thought
Maybe.
Oh, I suppose the Borg, but
Maybe.
no, and that's it. But to go back to the scene, it's the fact of like, I think it's a good scene, but it's very clearly an exposition dump to go.
Yeah.
Here's the setup of the episode,
Because
and it's not usually handled this clunkily.
Because 7 of 9, the first wireless charger ever seen, is the regeneration is more or less useless to her at this point. So she uses the alcove as an opportunity to reconfigure the way, because essentially it's like the alcove transmits to her Borg technology.
Her Borg implants.
Her Borg
and
implants.
then basically, yeah.
So she's using that to her advantage by downloading from the ship's computer months and months worth of sensor data, records, everything like that, so she can properly digest them and basically know everything that has been going on. And what we see by her doing this, she is able to determine that, a couple of months ago, Neelix did a trade for this spice from this old Talaxian colony. And the reason we've had sensor glitches is because these spices had these photonic fleas, and these photonic fleas got into a replicator that Harry Kim was repairing in the mess hall. They then matured in the replication system, and now because they are so mature, we get periodic glitches in the sensor array. And everyone's like, what?
Yeah, how do you... I mean, the fascinating thing about this is another thing of Star Trek predicting the future, effectively, is that before AI was the big boom, the big sort of, hey, everyone needs to have AI, everyone needs to be doing this and stuff, which is like, the ebb and flow of technology. It was big data. Big data was what everyone in IT was talking about, where they were like, hey, if you just get all the data, if you just collect data on every single little thing about your customers, then you can put it through these new programs, and then they'll work out customer habits. They'll work out how everything connects together. They'll go, this connects to this, and that means that, and that means that. And basically allow you to have these amazing business changes that'll like help you. And it's crazy that that's effectively what this episode is. It's the idea of Seven going, hey, if I have all of the data and all the information and I can process it overnight and then look for connections between it, then I'll be able to find out stuff that people would not normally have noticed. And it works. Like in the first instance you're saying, and this is the problem. This is the thing about conspiracy theories, where it's the fact of when someone has been right about something once, then people are less likely to question the evidence from them the next time. This is exactly what happened with the, what's it called? The January 6th, is it?
The January 6th insurrection.
Yeah. That's exactly what happened there, because the whole thing with, what was it called? Q and stuff, like
QAnon. Yeah.
That was all because this Twitter account at the time, before it got changed to be called something stupid, before it got changed to sound like a porn site, but basically someone was on Twitter posting stuff about what Trump would say before he'd said it. And obviously, because people are idiots, they didn't actually check that the timestamp on the tweet was actually before the pre-recorded broadcast.
Yeah, exactly.
But it was after the event happened, but before the broadcast. But yeah, because they're idiots. But then they basically went like, oh, well, they predicted that, okay. So with the future stuff, with the future predictions that this account is going to make, we're not going to put it through rigorous checks. We're just going to believe it. And that's exactly what happens to Seven. So basically, she's right about this first thing, and the big data really helps. But then the next thing, she's so confident because of her win. She's like, I know that this thing is happening here. And yeah, and then she's able to put it together quite convincingly and convince some people about some stuff where technically it isn't real. But yeah, sorry, we'll get back to that.
Can we give a huge, huge shout out to Roxanne Dawson in this episode? Because
B'Elanna
Torres, yeah. When Seven not wakes up, but like when Seven's regeneration is complete, she wakes up B'Elanna like really early in the morning.
I love it. She literally walks out of her alcove and goes, "What is it, Lieutenant Torres? I need to speak to you." Lieutenant Torres, respond. And then you hear Torres being like, "What is it? I've just woken up, you bitch."
I'm going to post the link.
Meet me at engineering, and it's immediately just. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine getting a phone call from someone who isn't even your boss saying, "Wake up, wake up and meet me here. I need to talk to you." And you just be like, "What? What's going on?"
I'm going to post a link in the chat right now. Mm-hmm. I have never seen Roxanne Dawson, B'Elanna Torres, look as beautiful, as stunning, as empowering as she is here really early on a morning shift. She's just rolled out of bed and she looks like this. This is iconic. This should be B'Elanna Torres's profile picture forever. It is stunning.
She looks so beautiful, but it is the idea of going, isn't she meant to have just been woken up and dragged out of bed? And she looks like a movie star,
Her hair is done. Her hair is volumized. She's got makeup on. She's got eyeliner. She is absolutely... It is making me question my love of my own ship. But yeah, so she's proven right. She's woke up at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
This is 2 a.m, B'Elanna Torres, right? What is she like at 7, at 8, at 9? Does Tom Paris need a wheelchair every morning? What's going on? But yeah, so she's proven right, like you said, by these photonic fleas.
And it's quite cool because basically, like, because Janeway's like questioning, being like, are you really sure about this? Like, what a weird concept. And then they actually go to the panel where Seven has determined that the fleas probably are. And then they open it up and they're there. There are like little fleas and bugs inside the actual conduit, which basically, and what they're doing is I think it's their natural food source is plasma. So basically they're occasionally touching on the grid and taking away accuracy from the
sort of essentially what they are doing
grid.
So what they are doing, the Trek tech is they're interfering with the sensors. So when the sensors are recording, there's a glitch, like there's like a blur. Think of it as like someone touching the lens like that occasionally, and what happens is you get a blur, or it doesn't work, or like skipping a CD in a CD player. Do you remember then the portable CDs where you run and there's an occasional skip? That's what's happening to the sensor data. So she's proven right by this. Let's talk about this never-ending will they, won't they, before they change their mind, between Janeway and Chakotay.
Well, I think this is the great thing, okay? Because we see like it's an odd one. Like I wrote, because what we have is we have Seven waking up and informing B'Elanna of stuff, but then we get a scene between Janeway and Chakotay, and it's Janeway cooking dinner for Chakotay because they've got this rapport between them where they have this private candlelit dinners between them where they all show each other different recipes and stuff.
Yeah,
it's like weirdly platonic because they have like a will they won't they relationship, but they never go down that route, and it seems a shame because they haven't even explored it in Prodigy, I don't think.
Oh, spoiler alert.
Everyone's seen stuff, but they haven't explored it in Prodigy. But well, at least where I'm up to. But yeah, everyone knows Chakotay's in Prodigy. I've decided. But yeah, then. But then yeah, but yeah, but basically, it's just a really nice little scene between them, and it's weird that they never went into it in more depth. And you wonder whether the writers were just like, do you think it was Chakotay being like, oh, I don't want to get with Janeway? Like, because he was the one who pushed for I want to get with Seven, wasn't it?
I feel, and this is with zero research, so the actually guys can at me later on. I feel that it was a producer's wish for this to happen, and a show writer's wish, but I feel there was pushback from Kate Mulgrew.
Oh, really?
I feel, I don't know, but I feel, because Kate Mulgrew is astonishing as an actor, as a human being. She's an astonishing person. And I feel, as Star Trek's first female captain, like first major role female captain, I feel there was pushback from her to say, why does this strong, independent captain need to find someone? Why did it have to be written in? I'm all for that.
Yeah, I disagree, because I think basically if it had been season 1 or 2, that would be a different story. But this is towards the end. This is like season 5 or 6, isn't it? Yeah, season 6. And by this point, we're like, no, it's a naturally evolving relationship between them that never gets fully explored. But yeah, it's an interesting one. They probably went like, oh, well, it'll lessen her if we do that. But I don't think it would. But
the suggestion of this scene, though, is the Chakotay's located a nebula 25 light years off their course, and he's like, we're explorers, aren't we? And it's like they deviate their course to go chart out this nebula.
Well, I think the hilarious thing is basically he just goes, hey, there's a nebula I want to explore, and she's like, oh, okay, then, kind of thing. And then the very next scene where we get B'Elanna and Seven confronting Janeway on the bridge is basically, before that, Janeway's there with her coffee going, oh, there's lots of there's weird graviton surges in a place over there. Let's go and explore that. And then Tuvok's like, aren't we meant to be looking at this nebula for Chakotay? And she's like, fuck him. You know, she's like, fuck him. Let's go and do this thing that I want to do. So it's this idea, we talk about them having a relationship, but she blatantly just goes, no, no. I've immediately, on a whim, cancelled this thing that he really cared about. And
we don't take orders from the beta.
Yeah, I quite like the Janeway's just like, nah, fuck it. But yeah, and then Seven comes in and stuff. But
anyway, the weird gravitational anomalies that they find is coming from this mysterious station. And then they encounter an alien. I'm trying to find the name of the
Mr.
alien.
Tash.
Mr. Tash. Imaginative.
We don't get to hear what his race is.
Let's Trek tech it. Let's Trek canon it. Species. Thank you, Memory Alpha. Species. Tash's species.
So we never find out. But I'm going to actually say, who in the chat, tell us in the chat if you watched this episode along with us, if you actually watched this episode before we started talking about it, because honestly, I absolutely love Mr. Tash. I think he is an absolutely... You know, when you get an actor where they get to play an alien and they know they're a one-shotter, but they really give it their all, that's exactly what we get here from Mr. Tash. He is brilliant. Like, you can even see that he's done improv stuff where it's like, as he's going the episode, he actually has little quirks that he has, like little sort of like little, what do you call them, like twitches, and he has like special hand symbols that he uses when he's actually indicating different things, and all these little bits that obviously I don't think were in the script, but the guy went, hey, this is how my character works, this is how my race works. And it's exactly what got things like Armin Shimmerman, like a Roller's Quark, and got I've forgotten his name, Ducat's actor, a regular
Mark
role in
Alimo.
DS9. Yeah, Mark Alimo. Like,
Yeah.
it's that kind of attention to detail and owning a character that if they explored Tash's species again, this actor would definitely be back.
He was able to utilize the limitations of the makeup that he had to deliver emotive performances using gestures, body movements, and the tone of the language. The character actor is Albie Selznick, and he was in Juggler from he was a juggler in TNG's The Cost of Living. Political. And he was in another Voyager episode. He was in Macrocosm. He was Tac Consul. But
I
again,
remember this. They're the bird
interestingly-
ones, aren't they?
Yeah, interestingly though, both other roles were heavily made up. The only one that sort of had a little bit more free reign was the juggler in Cost of Living, because you could actually see his whole face. So I think this actor, the way he portrays himself in the Voyager Conspiracy, he does it very well for like limited facial movements.
Yeah.
He does do it really, really well. But we see that Tash is trying to basically activate this space station, and we find out that this space station is more or less a catapult. And what it does, it propels whatever is in its field potentially thousands of light years ahead through space. And he's trying to essentially make it work because he's stuck in that sector. And if he just tries to get home at high warp, it's going to take him years.
Yeah.
So obviously, there is a common goal between both Tash and the crew of Voyager.
Yeah.
So naturally, they offer their help to repair this catapult because it could be mutually beneficial for both of them to get it working, where Tash can go home and Voyager can be propelled. You know, even if it's a few years off the journey, it can propel them a few thousand light years and save them some time coming home. It's the Starfleet way, because I love the fact that in the meeting, Tash is like, "What do you want in exchange of this?" And Janeway goes, "We don't want anything from you. It's just what
we're
we
just
do.
helping."
Yeah, we are just helping." And then Tash goes, "Oh, hey, you could use it after me." And Janeway's just like, "Yes, we could, couldn't we?"
Yeah, I love it. She's like, "Oh, we don't want anything off you," and then she's blatantly like, she would blatantly ask that. But
Yeah.
but I do like it. Like I think Mr. Tash is really fun and stuff like that. And it's, but what's the next bit we need to talk about there? Oh yeah, but basically the reason why it's broken is because there's a power core issue and Voyager offer to help it. And then what happens is that basically like Seven regenerates again and puts together all
Downloading
the
data.
puts together all the data from the past day regarding Mr. Tash, and she wakes up and immediately goes to Janeway. Oh, we shouldn't trust Mr. Tash because his catapult is built on the same technology as the Caretaker's array.
Yeah.
Which, if you'll remember, is the technology that got them dragged into the Delta Quadrant in the first place. So it's incredibly rare technology, and they're like, why on earth would it exist here and also in the Caretaker's array if they weren't connected? So what Seven has done is she's connected up these things in her mind, being like, oh, Mr. Tash must be connected to the Caretaker, and therefore us being in the Delta Quadrant must have been planned.
Well,
you know,
No,
you can see that the seeds are there, but then it gets worse later.
She detects a certain type of radiation emanating from the station, epsilon radiation. And basically, the last time that Voyager detected this type of radiation was from the Caretaker array because they used a Tetryon reactor. So 7 of 9 basically says that Tash may be a caretaker, and this may be a caretaker station. Now, at this time, 7 is a trusted member of the crew. She is highly intelligent, and her reasoning, as we have seen in the previous scenes with the fleas, the photonic fleas, you know, she has come to this conclusion. So Janeway's go, okay, let's analyze this, let's investigate it, and let's find out. And again, we see 7 not not fully, but still be proven right that Tash is hiding something from Voyager, and what that is the Tetrion reactor. So they immediately scan him and think he's a caretaker, and they can't find anything. But then his explanation, he goes, look, where this is in this area of space, anyone could claim this. They could use it as a weapon. They could do untold things. I spent a lot of money acquiring this station to use it for me to go home. I don't want this to be taken away from me. I don't want it to be stolen. I don't want it to be destroyed. So I hid the fact that it's a Tetrion reactor. So it's sort of justified, and they allow everything to continue.
What we find here is that the enemy of conspiracy, okay, the enemy of House of Cards conspiracy thought is coincidence.
Yeah.
It's the fact of when you have conspiracy theories, they can't deal with the concept of a coincidence, which is literally what this appears to be, where you have this alien who has a power source built on the same thing that the caretaker's power source was, and there's no connection between them. They just two people had the same idea in totally different parts of the galaxy.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. And obviously, when Seven is being analytical and she's looking at the data, she's going, no, they have to go together because coincidence can't be a thing because it's not something that gets factored in.
We get into does she regenerate again?
Well, basically, she does regenerate again.
But she's analysing the sensor log. Oh, that's it. She's analysing the logs from the when Voyager got stranded in the Delta Quadrant about the caretaker array, because the caretaker's array uses the same Tetrion reactor. So she's analysing the logs from when Janeway gave
So what she's done is she's looked into it and gone, hey, if it's the same particles, I need to look into what happened when we destroyed the caretaker's array after the first 2 episodes of Voyager. And then when she's looking at that, she basically analyzes it and she's like, oh, and she notices something really freaky where, and this is one of the great things about this episode that, well, is it a great thing? It's the fact of what she does is she looks at the explosion that happened after Tuvok had fired missiles into the array to destroy it. And then she goes frame by frame until she stops on one frame where you can see a blue beam in the picture. And it's something that very much looks like a blue beam, like a tractor beam.
Yeah.
And she's just like, what the hell's happening here? And then what she does is she regenerates from this, and then she kind of wakes up and she's like, oh, I know exactly what's happening. And she contacts Chakotay and she says, hey, Chakotay, meet me in Astrometrics lab as soon as he comes in. She goes, okay, lock the door, all of that computer, turn off all the sensors and everything in this room so it's totally anonymous. And what is that anonymous? Totally private. Anonymous. Private, there we go.
Yeah.
And then basically, and then talks him through a theory of that she believes that Janeway was in league with the Cardassians, and they intentionally dragged everyone through to the Delta Quadrant with the help of the caretaker so that they could start moving Cardassian ships into the Delta Quadrant to get a military presence there.
Yeah.
And that the whole thing, that the whole plan has been to destroy the array, but Tuvok, and this is, you can see all the bits of information that she's worked into this narrative, where she's gone, oh, Tuvok used too much, the what's it called, the warhead
yield,
weight.
the yield of the torpedo that Tuvok used. So in the pilot episodes, they destroyed the caretaker's array using high yield torpedoes. We find out in this episode that Janeway ordered Tuvok to arm the warheads. So Tuvok calibrated the warheads to such a higher yield because he knew that Janeway did not want any remnants of the caretaker array to be left behind to be used by the Kazon to take advantage of the Occupants. So Tuvok, so you can see Seven, because Seven goes the wrecking, like the absolute minimum yield that you could use to obliterate would be like 15,000 is it millicochrons or something like that.
Yeah.
But Tuvok used 2021, which is like way over what it should be.
Yeah.
Why did he do it? And Tuvok immediately being logical, goes, I wanted to ensure that nothing was left of the array as my captain ordered, so I amped it up to a degree in order to absolutely be sure that this would happen, that the caretaker array would be obliterated to a point where none of the technology could be used. But then using that information from Tuvok, the sensor data from the time that she has analysed, she comes to this conclusion that the Cardassians and the Federation were in cahoots together along with the caretaker array to be pulled 70,000 light years to this location in the Delta Quadrant in order to establish a military presence in the area, and that for the last 5 years Janeway has been charting and collecting data on this region of space that is then going to be transmitted back to Starfleet. So when more ships come in from this catapult, because she believes that this is going to be used to bring in more ships from the Alpha Quadrant, and they will use the data, the allies, the military infrastructure that they have made to have a bigger presence in the Delta Quadrant. And she bases this, and you can see, I love Robert Beltran is problematic. Don't get me wrong. I love the way he performs this scene, because 7 of 9 is so convincing with her arguments, and this is a great allegory for today's like false news, or like misinterpreted news, because she makes this wild claim but then goes, Neelix was here and Neelix recorded 52 ships. One of those ships was this, bang, a Cardassian Galore warship, right? Why was it there? Where did it go? We then find out that
and then he points out,
back.
the caretaker grabbed things from everywhere. Like, he grabbed ships from all over. The fact that it was a Cardassian ship doesn't really matter, because they would have grabbed over. But because she picked up on that one detail that she knew would tie into this narrative she was weaving, and ignored the rest of the data, which is how conspiracy theories work,
she went down a rabbit hole.
It allowed her to paint a particular picture by selectively picking the data that she used.
Yeah. So then she very convincingly says to Chakotay, okay, but then look at this stardate when we did this. Look at this stardate when Janeway made a treaty.
This is my favorite thing. What she does is she walks around the lab yelling star dates and then saying what happened on that star date, and then another one, and she just hits him. And that's how it works. She just keeps hitting him with information until he's just like, that's a lot of stuff. And there is a lot of evidence and whatnot. And it's great brainwashing, I think.
She does it a lot, all the way like through towards the end of the episode. Well, it plays on it
at the end.
Yeah.
And at the end of the episode, it has a wonderful payoff for that thing. But I love that she does it, and it's because she's a Borg. She remembers all of the dates, all of the things that have happened, and she can cite them. And a lot of the time in the world and with the internet, we defer to people who seem more intelligent or knowledgeable than us.
The
same way that like you get these conspiracy people, and they're just like going, oh, I saw it on a blog and the guy seemed really intelligent, so I just took him at his word. And because Seven knows her stuff in this scene, Chakotay believes it.
She is the trusted source of this information, and because she is so trusted with her information, Chakotay is digesting what she is saying. She is being very convincing with the timeline of everything that has been set up. That Tuvok detonated this so high that it caused a rip in subspace that masked this tractor beam that took the Tetrion reactor, which was then transported ship by ship by ship to this array in order to be used in this station to power this new caretaker array, which will bring in more ships from the Alpha Quadrant. And she has been mapping, she has been charting. She said, Voyager's deviated 214 times over 5 years. under the guise of exploration or helping people. And she said all the way through that, we have mapped nebulas, we have mapped territories, we have made allies, we have established a presence within the Delta Quadrant, and then established a military infrastructure within the places that we have been. And if you imagine watching this for the first time and she's saying all this and you're going, yeah, they have. Because everywhere they've got, we are Starfleet, we are the Federation, we have negotiated ceasefires, we've negotiated truce, we've negotiated safe passage with the Borg, the Kazon, not up to this point, but Species 8472 and stuff like that. And you go, holy shit, yeah. But then you go, yes, this is how she is getting Chakotay to buy into this, because she's a trusted source of information, because she's reeling off this evidence so convincingly. Chakotay buys into it, and because he buys into it, when they get to the point where they're going to set up the catapult to launch Tash, he goes down to engineering himself. He delivers the settings that they need to input back to engineering himself, and he goes to B'Elanna, change the phase variance by 0.3%.
Yeah.
So just so it allows you hours
what happens is before we get that, we get the alien Mr. Tash actually completes his jump. So they finish helping him out, and then he actually gets to go through the catapult himself and gets catapulted across. And Tuvok basically says, "Hey, we won't be able to hear back to him like for at least an hour because of how far he should have allegedly traveled." But then an hour passes, and then the alien gets in contact and goes, "Hey, it worked, but I did have to change my shield frequencies mid-flight as my ship started falling apart. So what you should do is you should change your shields to match this, and then you'll be fine." And then when B'Elanna is actually making that adjustment, Chakotay comes over and goes, "Hey, maybe you should mess up the bit that you're working on at the moment so that it puts us out of action for a couple of hours so that we have more time to kind of look into this conspiracy." Because basically he doesn't want to activate the gate or use the catapult in case the conspiracy theory is right and it's Janeway's like end game, you know?
Yeah.
Although it doesn't make any sense because she's saying, "We're going to use the catapult to get people into the Delta Quadrant." And you're like, that's not how it works.
Yeah,
it's literally only one-ended. So it's a bit of a plot hole where Seven would never have left a massive hole like that in. But
message from Mother Goodwill.
Oh,
are you and Graham sharing hair dye? Just got in, looking at the video. What the hell? No. These are our conspiracy helmets to prevent the 5G, to prevent Beth the pigeon.
You look like something from the Beano with the hat on.
Hang on. This is going to be me on Sunday, me lady. But yeah, so there is a bit of a plot hole because obviously this is a one-way station, so it catapults in one way. It can't bring. But she's so convinced that there's caretaker technology in there that, it could potentially bring something from the Alpha Quadrant. But the key issue is, the key thing to take away from it is, Chakotay believes her enough to say to B'Elanna, "Hey, make this slight alteration to the shield variance. It'll destabilize the station and it will give us at least 6 hours to carry out repairs. Just enough time for me to ascertain if, just to make, to check something, essentially, that he, he doesn't allude into it, but gives him enough time to check something. But what I love is that when 7 of 9 regenerates again with more information, she then goes to Janeway and then basically says, "I believe that Chakotay has reunited the Marquis and is in allegiance to what is it?
Is it the Borg? No.
That's it. She uses the same evidence to accuse Chakotay and the Marquis of instead of Janeway and the Federation. Despite Chakotay seemingly giving up his allegiance long ago, she states that he is still using the Array's reactor to attack Starfleet." So she's
Like,
basically
so she's saying he's planning to launch attacks on a Cardassian space using the catapult, and that's what his plan is. And that makes more sense. You could actually do that. You could basically use it to immediately infiltrate Cardassian space using this. Because the way that the Doctor Mr. Tasha explains the catapult is very obscure.
yeah.
It's like, oh, this isn't warp, this isn't sort of like wormholes, this isn't anything.
It's like a
This is
soliton wave that we see in the Next Generation, where it catapults them, but it rides them on a wave.
Well, he describes it in the episode, and I didn't understand it, but he's like, oh, well, what it does is it fires the target into null space, and then something happens. And I'm like, bit wibbly wobbly there, but
So I'll unify this new theory that she's got, just to quote Memory Alpha. In support of this, she shows Janeway the Cardassian ship that she showed Chakotay, and sees that it was one of the same pursuing Chakotay in the Badlands and pulled in by the caretaker array during the fight. Seeing as the ship vanished again, Seven suggests it was sent back to the Badlands and subsequently attacked by surprise by the Marquis. Then Chakotay would have found out about the caretaker through the logs, a perfect way to attack both Starfleet and Cardassian vessels. Furthermore, she says Tuvok was collaborating with him together.
I mean, maybe Stockholm syndrome. Maybe he had become he wasn't a spy. He'd actually turned over to the Marquis.
Yeah, and together they tried to take control of the array but failed. With Janeway's orders to destroy the array, Tuvok was the one that carried it out, using a yield which was more than enough and even enough to tear subspace, showing Janeway an image of the tractor beam that Seven had found earlier on. Seven states it was a planned move to save the reactor and to deliver it to Tash, who was waiting for it at this point. And again, she says it was transported from ship to ship to ship. Now, again, a lot we look at it and we go, 5 years, a lot of death, the year of hell, a lot has happened, and things have happened within the Delta Quadrant. But what I love about this scene is, unlike Chakotay, who has more or less bought into the conspiracy theory that she postulated to him, we see Janeway go, what you have done here is built a house of cards. There is a lot of conjecture in what you are saying. You are piecing together information but missing out huge bits of other information. You are just finding what fits your theory and then justifying it as a conspiracy. So Janeway, at the point facing Seven, doesn't buy into it, but then Seven does the exact same thing that she did to Chakotay, to basically say, she puts Chakotay in a bad light, and that she says even Seska was involved in this, what was it? Such as alleged involvement with Seska when she defected to the Kazon to try and capture Voyager, or making a diplomatic overture by suggesting trade with the Kalari who use Tetrion power cells. But you can see that Janeway is going, you are building, you are creating something with a very thin base. Like it's a house of cards. Janeway, go on.
I absolutely love it. Like it's the fact of, because Janeway is very, very sensible in this, where she's not easily convinced, and she points out like the fact of her logic is going, I know Chakotay, I trust Chakotay, and she's very much grounded. However, Seven does chip away at it with the, throwing dates and stats and figures at her.
Yeah.
Because the whole thing is that it doesn't make any sense. Like, it is a massive house of cards. It's like, do you remember the wacky races with Penelope Pitstop and Dick Dastardly?
Yeah.
And how silly it was, where basically you're like, hang on, Dick Dastardly blatantly has the fastest car, and yet he keeps stopping in order to set traps for the people behind him in the race.
Yeah.
And you're a bit like, I don't, because if it was laps, if the show was they do laps around something and he's setting traps for the people who are in front when they come around again, that would make sense. But they're never doing that. They're always going in a straight, from one place to another.
Point. Yeah.
Yeah. And it just feels like, and so what she's suggesting is all of the, like, while Voyager has been deliberately slowing itself down so that this power generator can be piggybacked across the like Delta Quadrant to get to this specific location. And it makes absolutely no sense. Like the amount of random events that would need to occur for that to happen. And suggesting that Voyager deliberately made themselves slower, but then still did some of the things they did that put them forward 10 years. And you're like, so that suggests that these other ships have also managed to do jumps that have knocked them forward 10 years or so. It doesn't hold up at all, but the fact is it's how it's conveyed, and that's how it works. That's how the cult of personality that we have around Trump, we have around like QAnon and all this lark. People don't look at the evidence objectively. They look at how convincing the speaker is.
You look at Tucker Carlson. You look at Nigel Farage, you look at Donald Trump.
Nigel Farage, that is a born grifter. He will say anything to get power.
He's a shill. But you see these people where they have this personality where a certain subset of people will look at that and go, he's genuine, he's right, he's one of the people. What he is saying speaks to me. Boris Johnson is probably one of the biggest con men that the UK ever had, because he portrayed a bumbling idiot, when in reality he was one of the cleverest men in government, where he essentially successfully failed upwards, or they say that he failed upwards, when it wasn't. He took advantage of a public consciousness to rise to a position where he was. He became London mayor, and then he became prime minister. And then we see that with the rise of Nigel Farage. But the problem with Nigel...
The whole thing is, let's not give Boris Johnson too much credit, because effectively what we have is... The problem we have with government is that the skills that you need to succeed in government aren't the skills that you should be doing in government.
Yeah.
It's the reason why we keep going like, hey, why has every female prime minister we've had been a piece of shit? And you're like, it's because you can't be a caring person and become prime minister. It's the fact of you have to act in a certain way. You have to be cutthroat in order to get to that position because of the way the game is played. And it's the fact of like, Boris Johnson is very much that. He knows when to betray people. He knows when to do this. He knows when to form alliances. All of this stuff. But none of it is how to help the economy, how to elect the right people into positions of power, and how to actually help the country and the people in it. Yeah. And you're like, there's something seriously wrong with government where the subterfuge is the way you get to power rather than actually being a caring and useful person. So just a bit of a rant there, but it's the idea of going, I don't want to give Boris Johnson too much credit because he might be a good, conspirator or whatnot, but he's a dick.
What we see is a role reversal for 7 of 9, where she is gone from being the person delivering a convincing theory, a convincing conspiracy, to being so overwhelmed by conspiracies herself that she then sees conspiracies in everything. And this is where we see the second appearance of Naomi Wildman, where she goes, Naomi's just going, we're gonna have a game of Kataskat today, you do this, and she's like, your father was Katarian, and she's like, yes. And then she goes on about she makes a conspiracy theory about, there we go, the Katarians were officially loyal to the Federation, but they sympathize with the Marquis. And then she interrogates Naomi, going, who are you working for? Like this 6-year-old is a Marquis sleeper agent.
Yeah, and it's just this crazy thing where she's literally just like, she's just like, who are you working for? Is it Chakotay or Janeway? And she's like, what? And he's just like, go back to them. Tell them I know all about it. I forgot what she says. I didn't write it down. But it is just amazing. She just shouts at it, just being like, sort of, tell them they won't win. And Naomi just runs off. She's just like, what the hell
but
is going on?
But the thing is...
But it's the fact of... Seven has become so paranoid here. She's become so distrustworthy of everything because she's bought into this nonsense.
What... The next scene, I have an issue with the next scene where we see Chakotay and Janeway in the cargo bay examining the power fluctuation that they've detected in Seven's alcove. And we see Janeway walk in with a phaser on a belt.
Yeah.
And we see Chakotay with a phaser on a belt. And now, for me, the previous scene with Janeway, where Seven has tried to convince her that, you know, there's this conspiracy with Chakotay and the Marquis, we see Janeway so fierce in her conviction and trust of Chakotay. And that, you know, what Seven is doing is building a house of cards. But then in this scene, we see
she still has a phaser
the element of doubt
yeah.
creeping in, and she's wearing this phaser, and then she's asking Chakotay, I didn't realise phasers were SOP on the ship. And we see that these two, very chilly with each other, that they detected this power fluctuation. But what I like is, I mean, sorry, the issue I had, I don't think Janeway should have had a phaser. I think she should have had an element of doubt, but I think she should have walked in without a phaser, but still had that doubt within her mind, and we see this frosty exchange between them.
I don't know, because I think it works where basically they both have phasers. So it's the fact that, because I think you got it the wrong way around. I think Janeway comes in, and then Chakotay comments on her having a phaser.
Yes, my mistake, yes.
And then she looks at him, and he's got a phaser. And it's this idea of, it's not spoken. They're not getting them out or sort of like threatening each other. But the fact is that they've both started wearing weapons, tells the audience, oh, there's a doubt there. You know, like, no matter what they say, you know.
And again, it's another allegory for American gun laws. So,
what's the point of having guns if you can't aim properly? Anyway,
okay, Kyle. But then what I like is they both, excuse the pun, disarm each other, because they confront each other about these theories that Seven has postulated to them both, and how quickly just having this logical conversation about what they have both been told and going, well, Seven said that you were doing this to have a military foothold in the Delta Quadrant, and Janeway goes, well, that's funny, because Seven used the same evidence to say that you were reigniting the Marquis and using this to destroy the Starfleet. And you think,
and this is the thing. Because what I found, because I keep lots of conspiracy like people on Facebook, because I love being kept on my toes by being like, I want to see what the latest thing is that people are saying so that I can kind of know how bullshit it is. And a lot of the things that you see is that they can happily, without any sense of irony, believe that the same evidence is for two different things in different ways.
Yeah.
Because they can't decide which theory is right. But they're fully convinced about them. But yet you're like, but those two things can't be both right. It can't be that he deliberately brought them here for this purpose and she deliberately brought them here for this purpose. They can't be both true. And yet that's what she ends up believing. And that's like the insanity of it.
But what we see when they disarm each other, they get a hail that someone's done an unauthorized launch from the shuttle bay, and we see that Seven has stolen the Delta Flyer and she's heading towards the array. So I like the exchange that there was an element of doubt within them both, but by the end of the scene, they have regained their trust in one another by talking and explaining what they have both been told, and basically coming to the reason that both of them can't be right, and there are certain elements that mean that what she has formulated cannot be true. Now, the only issue I had with this conspiracy, like the two conspiracies that we had, it is never explained what the blue beam is in the caretaker array.
There are loads of bits of this episode where we're a bit like, yeah, that doesn't ever get explained.
Exactly.
But that kind of adds to the charm of going like, was there a thing going on, or was it just a graphical glitch?
This is what I'm saying. By not explaining this tractor beam, the writers then themselves create a conspiracy theory within Voyager viewers because it's not explained. It's never mentioned. So then people go, well, hang on a minute. What was that tractor beam? Was it a tractor beam? Was it a glitch? Was it a tear in subspace? What is that blue beam? And it was never answered. And it's really interesting that you get conspiracy theories raised in the episodes and disarmed, but then out of that, a new conspiracy theory is then raised. And it makes me like think of the JFK assassination and the moon landings and everything like that, where they go, oh, well, if you look at the camera, it was this. And how did they do this? And science and technology go, because of X, Y, and Z. And then out of that, they go, right, okay, but why was this developed for this? And then the mind formulates a new conspiracy theory because not every single thing has been answered. But with most things in life, you cannot fully explain every little thing in life. You cannot fully explain, you know, I don't know.
But the thing is, it's like the episode leaves open that maybe something weird happened.
Yeah.
Maybe there is actually something there, but it's not the ones that Seven came up with. It's not like those aren't actually the truth. I mean, with JFK is a minefield. All of the insane stuff where you're like, that is true, that did happen, and nobody's able to explain it. And nobody is like even 9/11, where you just go, surely they would want to explain all of these things if there was an explanation that they had in order to put people at ease.
But
that's,
look at the...
and that becomes a conspiracy theory itself of being like, oh, what if they're wanting us to think of conspiracy theories as a way of keeping us occupied and keeping us not thinking about the truth?
But here's
it gets a nightmare.
Here's my rabbit hole. Okay, so 2017, I believe it was, where the U.S. Navy released the UFO footage that they'd recorded years before. And they released it and they went, hey, we can't explain it. We don't know what they are. We don't know where they are from. We cannot identify their movements, their speed, or anything. These are UFOs. We are not saying that they are alien. They are just unidentified aerial phenomenon, UAPs, right? We can't explain it. Now, for me, my conspiracy theory is that we are starting to see, ever so slightly, we are starting to see a slight rise in stuff like that coming from official sources where they go, hey, we can't explain this. We can't explain, you know, we detected this, the asteroid, the one they named after a Hawaiian thing. We can't, you know, there were strange things. We can't explain its movements. It entered our solar system. It went in this direction, and we can't explain what it was. We couldn't get a clear image. And then again with the UFOs that the pilots recorded, and even the pilots themselves, they were like, we have no idea, man. Now, if you think that this was like the 40s, 50s, 60s, this would have been hush-hush and never ever like discussed or released. But now the government is like, yeah, we've got an official panel. We can't explain it. We don't know what's going on, right? Now, 50, 60, 70 years ago, imagine the panic. Imagine the like furor if the government said that. Nowadays, we are more desensitized to that. And I feel, and this, anyone in the chat, anyone in the comments, feel free to comment and see if you agree or disagree. I feel that what is happening, stop laughing. I feel that what is happening...
I just love the idea of we're getting down this conspiracy rabbit hole here. And
it's my only conspiracy, because we all know the Queen killed Di. It's my conspiracy theory is that what we are experiencing at the moment is the governments or bodies in the government or whatever, not anything dark or anything like that. I believe they are very slowly desensitizing the populace to the possibility and the chances of extraterrestrial life. Where they are, you know, they are just saying, hey, we are seeing these really weird recordings. They are not dangerous. They are not posing a threat, but they are erratic and we can't explain them. And then we're getting a lot of it where they go, yeah, we actually have loads of reports of this and we see this, but they have never posed a threat, they have never attacked, they have never done anything. We just can't explain it. I believe what we are in at the moment, and it could take years, it could take decades, I believe we are in a phase of desensitization to the possibility of extraterrestrial life being either here or visiting us, because as a global culture, shall we say, not any one specific one, because I know we'll get into a minefield with that, but I believe as a global culture that we are more accepted to the theory that aliens exist. It's becoming more of a scientific plausibility. The more we do research into space, the more that we understand the cosmos, the better the technology advances, that it is a plausibility. And I think the government is at that stage where they're going, it is time to slowly desensitize the population and then reveal either we have made contact or they have made contact or something like that. That is my only theory. There is nothing untoward against it. There is nothing malicious about it or anything like that. I think it is a conscious plan to not cause mass hysteria, to not cause, violence, panic, or anything like that. It's just a gradual desensitization to the point where they could go, we can officially reveal extraterrestrials exist. Here is the proof. Yeah. To avoid mass chaos and hysteria. Even if this was 20 years ago, it would have been insane. But now we are so desensitized to these possibilities with the understanding of the cosmos and planets and everything. And basically, like with the advancements of the telescopes where they're going, hey, there is a lot more Earth-like planets than you can think. It's very interesting. So that is my only conspiracy theory.
Oh no, I will say I have loads of conspiracy theories. Like, it's the thing for me is basically whenever there is not a clean answer for anything, whenever there's because a lot of the time, like, you can make conspiracy theories about anything if you don't have a proper or a clean answer to something. Yeah. And it's a lot of the time you're just like, or when you just get an actual crap answer, like where you just go, that doesn't make any sense, but then it kind of feeds the whole, was that deliberate? Was it deliberate that they gave us a crap answer because they wanted us to believe this conspiracy theory? Like, maybe at the moment they want us to believe aliens are real so that then they can start putting in more laws to take human freedoms away. Where you just go, maybe they're doing all this and going, hey, look, aliens are real. We couldn't tell you ages ago because you wouldn't be ready for it. But what we need now is we need to make it where everyone's microchipped so that we can stop them being abducted and stuff. Everyone is like this. And, we need to get rid of money and everyone just needs to live in safety camps where they can, where we can protect them. Like, this is the joy of it, where when you don't have all of the evidence, all you can do is extrapolate ideas. But then from what you've got, you can take them in any direction,
This is what we see towards the end of the episode, because Janeway beams onto the Delta Flyer in order to confront Seven of Nine. Seven of Nine's even erected a force field on the cockpit. So
what's happened is Seven of Nine has escaped the ship.
She's took the Delta Flyer.
She's basically stolen the Delta Flyer because she's decided that actually her previous conspiracy theories are wrong, and actually it's all about her. From the start, it's all been, they got sent to the Delta Quadrant specifically to capture her. Yeah. And when Janeway teleports over, she basically reveals her latest theory about what's going on. And she basically suggests, okay, all of it, you came over here to the Delta Quadrant to steal a willing drone that you could then take back to the Federation and dissect and get all of their knowledge as a way to defeat the Borg. Yeah. And this is the thing. This is what we get with conspiracy theory, is that there's always a way where the person works themselves into their theory. Yeah. There's always a way where they just go, and it affects me this way, even if they wouldn't be affected by it at all, or they always end up going, I'm way more important than I actually am.
Yeah.
You know, where they just go, oh, someone is trying to read my emails or put 5G signals into my brain because what I think is that important to the government.
Yeah.
Whereas the reality is,
You're
why would
not.
the government care about you?
Yeah.
The same way that with Seven, it's like, she is a wonderful character, she's a wonderful person, but she's just a drone. She's just,
The
she's just a
government
science officer and a drone, you know?
the government do not care about your Coronation Street fan fiction that much. But we
Well, let's not go
see,
wild. Let's not, I care.
yeah. So she basically says that the conspiracy is now about her and that all the crew have conspired to make her more human. And what we see is this great little dialogue, this one-to-one between Janeway and Seven, where Janeway just basically says there is no conspiracy theories. What you
Yeah.
are doing, you are trying to create order out of chaos, and sometimes you cannot make that order. You cannot make things fall into place. You cannot justify a coincidence as being a deliberate plot or a deliberate, move or anything like that. You are trying to create order out of chaos, and the amount of data that you have digested, you cannot process it properly. So your brain is trying to organize it into a logical theory, but it is not true. And it's the sheer fact that she's downloaded like teraquads worth of information that has overloaded her brain to the point where the brain's going, this is all a massive conspiracy theory about me, without looking at the tiny things, without looking at the logic, without looking at the, like, if it's about me, why did they do this? Why did they do that? Why did they make these treaties? Why did they allow crew to die and go on these deviated missions? If you look at it logically, why is this? But Seven is so consumed by the theory based on the information that her brain has put together that it must be true. And we see that Janeway just goes, you need to, there are far too many variables in order for this to be true. You need to look and accept that life is chaotic and there are random events and that you cannot explain away the situations that we get ourselves into as, like deliberate and fully planned out and plotted. And this is, it's a great, like, I mean, this was the 90s when this aired. This was like 1999, 2000 when this aired. And it's like, imagine if this aired now.
But this is the problem where it's like, this is the importance of Trek. This is why we need like Trek, so we can basically go, do you see yourself in this picture? Like we had with the previous episodes, like Fusion and Meld and stuff, where you kind of, there's an element where you see yourself in what's going on in the episode. And with this one, it's very much the idea of going, that if you are doing these kind of things where you're just going, hey, here's unconnected events, if you have to think of how the two events are related based upon no evidence, you just know that you've got A and B, then something's wrong, like it's, that is a hypothesis, not a theory, I guess. But yeah.
So they beam back to Voyager.
Well, no. Before that, what we do is when Janeway is trying to convince, because the whole thing of the best relationship in DS9, in the best relationship in Voyager, except possibly Seven and the Doctor, is the relationship between Seven and Janeway. It's the fact of she is this mother figure, and what she does is she convinces Seven by basically going, look, if I was trying to hurt you, why would I never have lied to you yet? And why would I have done all these things to help you and care for you if we were just going to cut you up? We would just we would literally just put you in the brig and lock you up and take you home if we were doing that. We wouldn't try to help you become a better person. And what she does is she does it like Seven's been doing to everyone else, is she just lists star dates. She goes, this star date, that's when we rescued you from the Borg. This star date, that's where we started getting, I convinced you to go and start talking to people and making friends. This star date is the date that you started doing this or whatever. This star date is the day that you first said thank you to me.
Yeah.
And then Seven looks at her and corrects her and says, no, it was star date such and such. And Janeway's like, oh, sorry, I made a mistake. But it's the idea that what Seven does is basically go, yeah, she basically goes like, no, it was this date at 0600 hours in the mess hall. We had just finished breakfast, and realizing that Seven, these events mean so much to Seven that she has itemized them and remembers them clearly.
Yeah.
These things that Janeway has done for her. And that's it. And that's what beats conspiracy theory is trust.
Yeah.
What beats conspiracy theory is trust in the people, that the theory is about and you go, hey, I don't believe that. And this is the problem we have. That's why all of these things, conspiracy theory outlines the lack of trust and the evident untrustworthiness of government.
Yeah.
Where it's the fact of nobody trusts their government because we all know they're corrupt as shit. Like,
yeah.
And it means that basically we don't trust them. We don't trust them like Seven trusts Janeway. So there's no way that the government could talk us off the ledge effectively, because we'd be like, but where did all the COVID money go? Why does it cost like hundreds of millions to just send some people to Rwanda? Oh, like all of this nonsense. You just go, oh, it's because you're pocketing it all yourself, you absolute wankers, And this is the thing, and because we don't have that trust, that's how we have these conspiracy theories. But
I've retired my "fuck the Tories" sticker, and I feel like resurrecting it for this episode, but never mind.
We'll always fuck the Tories. But what we do is we get like we get it where we get a captain's log from Janeway pointing out that they've used the catapult now, and it's cut 3 years off their journey. They've managed to jump over 30 sectors, I think it is.
Yes.
And then what we do is we have the final scene, and it's between Janeway and Chakotay, where they're back to having their like cozy meals or whatever.
Yeah.
And they're basically talking about how silly they've been.
Just before that, we get the third and final I know you were avoiding it, you son of a.
Oh,
we get the third and final interaction between Seven and Naomi Wildman, where Naomi comes in and Seven makes a joke where she's like, rumors of my that I've been assimilated have been greatly exaggerated. But we see that Seven, instead of using the whatever spare time that she's got to assimilate data to learn and develop, she's actually just going to take time off and have a game of Cadiscat with Naomi Wildman.
No, it's Cotter Scott. Yeah, it's written.
Yeah,
Cadiscot.
KADIS-KOT. Cadiscot.
Yeah.
So she's done enough work for the day, so I will finish this and I will meet you in the mess hall to go set it up. So we see that essentially 7 of 9 is taking a night off from working, and then the final. She's
realised that the alcove doesn't work. She's put it out of commission. Yeah.
USB-C all the way, and then the final scene is between Janeway and Chakotay, how they are addressing how there was issues of trust between them.
Yeah.
But the fact that they have been through so much together, that they should never stop trusting each other. And again, it still alludes to the will they, won't they that never transpired in Voyager, but it further shows that they are just more than that. They are more than potential romantic partners. They are friends on a deep emotional level, as well as colleagues, and they show that even as friends they can still have doubts, but all they have to do is talk through it together.
Well, this is it. It's and it ends with the most wonderful line of the episode, which is basically Chakotay taking a drink of coffee, being like, "Oh, you didn't poison this coffee, did you?"
Yeah.
And she looks at him and just goes, "Not more than I usually do."
It's Catherine Vladimir Janeway, but yeah,
I just love it. Like, not more than I usually do, and it's just like it's such a perfect line, and then they have a laugh. But yeah, it's the whole thing of conspiracy theory. Like, and I disagree with what Chris is saying in the chat, where Chris is saying I think a lack of critical thinking is a big part in conspiracy theories too. It is, but it's also the idea of it can get all of us. You can get people who love conspiracy theories and buy into them because they're stupid and they don't have critical thinking and they can't actually go, oh, that doesn't make any sense. Like, a lot of the time, like with when I'm sort of trying to debunk things which people are saying on Facebook, is the idea of going, how would that happen? How many random occurrences would need to happen for that to happen? And then why doesn't this happen? And they've never considered that. And then they start going, oh, yeah, I don't know how that fits into the narrative at all. That does kind of be a bit, oh, well, hang on, I'll have a think. And obviously they'll go off and work some way around it. But and then you get people who just blindly ignore it and go, no, I'm willing to ignore that bit of evidence because it doesn't go with this thing that I want to believe. But then you can get very intelligent people, which is what we see here with Seven, where the idea is they believe that everything has to make sense. And the world doesn't make sense. Random stuff happens. Like, for instance, yesterday, I was filming with one of the Mr. Gays, Andy, for like an event we're doing in like 2 weeks' time. And basically we're doing like a promotional video for it. And it was one of those days, okay, where everything goes wrong, where every single, like your sleeve gets caught on every door handle. You kick every single bloody bollard. You, like every time you try to grab something, you drop it. Or like every time you're carrying something, it'll get hooked on something and pull it over, all this stuff. And you're sitting there being like, this can't all be a coincidence. There must be some actual narrative here of why all this is happening. And then you go like, oh, maybe I got cursed. Maybe it's gypsies. Maybe it's like I woke up wrong and my brain chemistry's wrong and therefore I'm doing this and stuff. And it's not. It's literally just this idea of, or it's a self-fulfilling prophecy of shit just happens. But then when you're actually in that frame of mind of thinking shit just happens, it happens more.
Placebo.
Yeah. But it's this idea of like all these things, or it could just be coincidence. But the human brain strains to find order in chaos. And so the more intelligent you can be, the more open to conspiracy you can be. And it gets all of us, I think.
It can get all of us, very much like scammers and stuff like that. There will always be that one that will get you. Do you have...
I mean, like I say, I very much am into conspiracy theories, but it's simply because there's so much stuff where you're like, well, we don't know the actual truth.
Do you have
you don't believe
theory? Do you have a prevailing conspiracy theory that you believe in?
Not that I'll say on the podcast. I'll tell you afterwards.
Ooh.
There's loads of stuff. I will say, though, we're on the subject of JFK, like... Yeah, JFK, like that. I can't even begin to say what happened there because you're just like, why on earth did his brain go missing? Like, you're just like, what the hell? If it was just a random guy shooting, and then they went, okay, well, what we'll do is we'll just steal his brain off a private jet when no one could actually, except for trusted people, could be on that. And why would you do that except to go, oh, there's bullet shards in there that don't match with the gun it was supposed to be fired from. Like, that thing where you're like, and you don't want to go, hey, the easy route, but you're just going why would you do that? And the fact that has never ever been explained. Oh yeah. And
why did his wife scramble to collect part of the brain before it fell off the car as it was driving?
Yeah. It's all this crazy stuff, and you just go like, so there's definite, but I think we see it as a fun thing, but it's also, we're never going to know the full truth of anything.
Do you have any further notes for the Voyager Conspiracy?
I actually think we did everything. I just want to say fuck Naomi Wildman. Neelix lives up again to his role of they have no fucking idea what to do with Neelix.
He lives up to his role of fucking up systems.
Yeah, he's just like, oh, well, I invited some fleas on board and they messed up one of the systems. And you're like, okay, thanks for being a great member of the crew, I guess. But no, no, I think we've talked about it. The main thing I wanted to talk about is conspiracy thought. And I think we've covered that,
That has been our review of the Voyager Conspiracy. And I bet you're wondering, oh my God, the government took his hat. They took his hat. Live on air. You saw that. You saw that. Oh my days. They took his hat. Oh no, wait, there it is. It just
I
felt...
actually, I have to say, I was watching you know how the algorithm is rubbish, and basically just goes, we think you'll be interested in this, and it's usually wrong. It came up with like a paranormal video where it was like ghost hunters, and it was like an hour and a half long, and I didn't even know you could do hour and a half long videos on Facebook. But basically, it's literally just these very camp sounding guys walking around a forest being like, oh, I can feel energy. Oh, there's some energy here and stuff. And I'm like going, what the hell is this? And the live chat that you can see sort of popping up on it is all these people like, oh, I saw an orb and I saw this. And you're sitting there being like,
dust.
what the actual bollocks is this? But it's also that people tuned in for an hour and a half with no payoff. Like, I think I literally I want to do something about ghost hunting at some point, because I think it's literally the media's way of edging gullible people.
That is a ghost hunting, the edgelords of...
It really is. It's literally just like, oh, just show us something. Just let me get there.
I bet you're wondering right now, everybody, it's time for the dabble wheel.
Is it, though? Is
No.
it time for the dabble wheel?
No, it is not. Because we are done with trekking up north in the UK. Because next week, me and Science Officer Synoiz are on shore leave. That's right. We are going to STLV in glittering Las Vegas next week, where it's going to be 43 degrees every single day. We will be hobnobbing with the Trek Elite, the Trekdom, the Trek family.
Who are we nobbing?
Who are we nobbing? Well...
Who are we nobbing today, Goodwill?
Sean.
No one. Sean, there we go.
So...
to be expected.
He demanded to be number one. Yes,
That makes you captain. But anyway.
We are hobnobbing with the hoi polloi of the Trek family. That is right. Trekking Up North is going to STLV. We will be with Sean Ferrick, Mike Overton from Clodestar, Sean Ferrick from Trek Culture. We will be with everyone from everything, really.
I think it'll be everything, and what you should do is expect lots of random posts from us. If you follow me, the Velvet Snatch, on Instagram, I'll probably be doing lots of stories and lots of posts relating to it on there.
I heard a new character may be appearing.
Well, maybe, but it's just going to be me. But
I heard a candle is going to be there as well.
Should I bring the wig for the candle slag? I'm tempted to bring. I might do the candle slag.
I think you should. Yes, we will be in glittering Las Vegas this time next week. We are doing STLV, and then we are going to have some nice, well-earned breaks where we can relax. It is also Science Officer Synoiz' first time in the colonies.
I've never been to America. It's crazy.
He decided to go to Las Vegas at the hottest time of the year. I'm going to film him exploding into 1,000 million atoms as soon as he steps off the plane.
It's going to basically... it's really obscure, but you know the first Mirror Universe or episode of DS9?
Yeah.
Where it has like Mirror Universe Odo and they shoot him and he blows up?
Yeah, that's going to be you.
That's me getting off the plane.
There will be, but in all seriousness, there will be a Trekking Up North in some form or another. It will be live. It might not be at 8 p.m. BST because that'll be 12 p.m. our time in Las Vegas, and we will be too busy schmoozing and networking, as they say. But there will be something, and there may be special guests coming on. But make sure that you tune in to the Nerdy Up North Facebook page, to my Instagram, to my Twitter at Goodwill None, to Synoiz's Instagram and all of his socials as well, to see all the background gossip and all the little cameos that are going to be happening. We will be having the best fun with our Trek family. And before we go to Las Vegas, once again, we are in Blackpool this Sunday for Destination, the unofficial Star Trek convention at Northbrook Castle. So come along this Sunday at 12:10 p.m. on the main stage, where Trekking Up North will be live in front of an audience, and we can't swear, but there will be many, many, many conspiracies and
No,
themes.
hard-hitting truths, Goodwill.
Hard-hitting journalism.
That's it.
Hard-hitting, great British trekking. But yes, we'll be at Norbreck Castle, and then the week after there will be a recorded episode of Trekking Up North that should summarise all of our little shenanigans that we've got up to over the last 2 weeks, and then after that, normal service shall resume.
Yeah.
I
I
think.
will say we are looking at a lot of pre-recorded episodes throughout
Yes.
August due to my commitments. But it has been lovely having the live chat here. It's been lovely me seeing the live chat and being able to respond to all of you during the thing. Thank you very much for all your contributions, Chris. It's been great and lovely, Beth. Hey, Rob, how you doing? When you say algorithm, are you referring to algae rhythm of the modern classic Space Jam 2? Naturally, yes. Yes, I am.
I thought you meant
that
Ali
is who
G.
controls Facebook.
I thought you meant Ali G.
love
Boyakasha.
But no, but yeah, no. So we will do that. And what I will say, here's my thing to promote, is that in 2 weeks' time, on Saturday, the 10th of August, I will be doing a 24-hour gaming stream. Now, if you've followed them before, you know the drill. Please. I know it's after payday, so please donate to it. I'm going to set up a different, I'm going to set up a different page for it, fundraising page, just for this event, just to kind of keep it concise or whatever, so we can keep a track, and that'll be on GoFundMe, I think, or something. But
Yes.
yeah, I'll be doing that. So please, if you're free on the 10th, it'll probably be 9 p.m. through to on Saturday through to 9 p.m. on Sunday. And I'm going to try and do it all in drag. Let's see how that turns out, if I'm perfectly honest, because I'm thinking I want to see if I can manage 24 hours in drag.
You are going to lose so much weight in sweat alone in Vegas, and then you
I
are going
hope
to do
so.
charity. I hope so.
I've literally got. I was speaking to the designer for obviously the final of the big competition I'm in, Mixed Drag Great Britain. The final is on the Bank Holiday Monday, August the 26th, in Annick Gardens for Gay Day. And basically, the designer who is helping me make all my runway looks was like, "So, do we just use the measurements from last time?" And I'm like, "I don't know, because I will have just come back from Vegas and I plan to eat absolutely everything." So she's like, so she was basically like, "I'll leave some room in." And I'm like, thank you.
I think you will eat everything but burn it all off in walking, and will come back thinner.
Oh, hopefully. Otherwise, I'm going to need a tighter corset.
Yes. Guys, what did you think of the Voyager Conspiracy? Please leave a comment below and tell us your theories, or tell us if you disagree with any of the points that we had in the episode.
Please comment, actually, in the chat if you don't agree with my thoughts about stuff, because we have a thing where obviously I always talk about, hey, this means this means this. I want the people who disagree to counter me, and then we can have a discussion about it, because I think that's really useful. So comment on the YouTube video below if you're watching after the fact, or if you're watching now, just add it in there and then we can have a discussion. Honk.
If you are enjoying this video, please click that like button. If you are not already a subscriber to the Nerdy Up North YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button and select the bell. Tickle the bell, Synoiz. Tickle it. Just cool. If you enjoyed this episode as well, please see all of our friends in the description below that all have tremendous podcasts. And there's also something called the Velvet Snatcher. Please go
to the velvetsnatch.com/donate to donate to my causes and
the store
and buy merch.
Yep.
Yeah, buy merch. Yep, we're going to be adding. We're actually going to be adding. We discussed this. We haven't finalized it, but my Velvet Snatch store.thevelvetsnatch.com. It's going quite well, actually, and we really love how it works. So we're probably going to be looking into adding Trekking Up North merchandise to that you will be able to order if you want T-shirts and if we want different designs for them. We need to flesh it out. We need to discuss with the other parties concerned as part of Nerdy Up North, but it's a good place to put it, you know? So, do that.
I demand Trekking Up North slippers. So yes, please click all the descriptions please click all the links in the descriptions below. Make sure you subscribe to all of our friends that support Trekking Up North. Until we see you next week when we're in the faraway land of the United States of America. We will be sunburnt, we will be fat, and we will most likely be drunk. But we will always share our love of Star Trek with you. So until next week, my lovelies, I want you all to stay safe, look after each other, live long and prosper.
Keep the memes coming.
Keep
and
the
also...
memes coming.
Miles?
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 Miles.
Miles!
Miles!
Miles! Miles?
Daddy?
What are you doing with that gun on the grassy knoll?